beautiful message about our souls singing out. We simply step into this moment, this center, this day, this experience, and just taking this minute to bless. Oh man, there's so much to bless. The technology that is bringing us together right now. The amazing people like Karen singing today, stepping forward. Eric on the piano, and all the stuff like Anne Fleming and doing slides, and Neil and Tiffany and Bob. And of course we bless the Rev for the message coming through him. And Claire as she helps negotiate Facebook for us today. So just breathe that in, how much we're blessed that all of this gets to happen and we get to be a part of it. And help me anchor this by saying, and so it is. Well, good morning, everybody in ACSL land. Welcome to Sunday. So today, for lighting the candles, wow, what a week. What a week. So what we know is that diversity leads to equality, and equality leads to inclusion. So as I light this first candle, I just invite you for this week, whatever's on your heart. This candle's for you. And our second candle, so this is the healing candle of love. And so we invite you in the stillness of your own mind to bring to awareness the names of anyone that you want to be included in this healing flame, which brings love and it brings light. Feels nice to just take a moment to center ourselves into the day and into this spiritual activity of what that we call a service. But now we kind of crank it up a bit and we get a little rowdy because our purpose, vision, and mission statements are so key to who we are and what we're doing here. So please join me loudly wherever you are. Our purpose, which is our reason for being, we awaken and inspire love and oneness. Okay, so our vision and, what do we want to create or become? We are an empowered, uplifting, inclusive community. And of course, how are we going to do this? We teach spiritual transformation with grace and joy. Have visions of joy, our joy, the golden retriever joy running through the parking lot last Sunday. Definitely creating laughter and inclusion and being uplifting. So the sacred reading today is called Breathe. You might start to see a pattern to the day. It was written by Reverend Celeste Frazier, and it was done in January of 2011. So with every indrawn breath, we breathe in life. And without every outgoing breath, we give it forth. So I am breathing the breath of God. And that alone is proof that the life of God is my life. So now breathing relaxes us. It oxygenates the blood and our muscles, and it strengthens us. It relieves us of stress, and it sends oxygen to the brain, increasing our intelligence. Just a second. Okay, good. Sometimes when we're angry, thank you for getting that. Sometimes when we were angry as kids, we were told to take a deep breath and count to 10. Breathing supports us during physical exercise or strenuous work. It helps us to improve our health. We sleep better and harmonize our relationships. This is the support of God that we see and feel in the realm of effects. But spiritually, meditative breathing is an invitation into what Christian Larson calls the sacred chamber of the soul. Breathing informs our minds, our bodies, and our emotions. And so now I want you to listen to this next piece. Infinite intelligence is ever giving its perfection to me. For each new breath, there's a new thought. Every moment that the kingdom is downloading into me, I have the opportunity to catch a new divine idea. God's flow is not restricted. So I am abundant with ideas. My awareness increases with each conscientious breath that I take. And likewise, with every breath, I give something. And every moment I get to choose from the inexhaustible well of creativity and offer a divine idea. And now back to the amazing and lovely Karen and Aaron.
This is a great song to stand for, even at home. I shine, we dance, heart sing, we're given a chance, spirit loves to dance, 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 spirit loves to dance. I shine, we dance, heart sing, when given a chance, spirit loves to dance, 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 spirit loves to dance.
Woo! All right. I don't care where you are, give it up for Karen. So welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Linda Steiner, and I'm one of many licensed practitioners who are here to serve the center and to serve you in prayer and in love. So, good morning and welcome. I get to do announcements today, which is kind of fun because there's a lot of fun stuff happening. But first, so our virtual services, we are definitely going to continue them at least until the end of June, just so we can get everything ready to go, and when we do open our doors up again, that we're all safe. Which also brings me to just thanking everybody who came and participated in last week's drive-through pet blessing, which kind of broke out into a park your car and show off your dog in the parking lot event. It was amazing to see everybody, and thank you everybody for coming and everybody who helped put that on. We are still looking to create the virtual youth classes, and Fleming is working hard to make that happen. Last week we talked about a brand new way to tithe. It's called Tithely, but it's up on the screen right now. You can see it. So you click on that, boom, and then you put in your credit card. I'm asking yes, and then you can just send your tithe that way, and that's available 24 hours a day, during service, not during service. Just hit the button and help make all this happen. It's appreciated. I have another announcement, but before we do that, I wanna send this to a little video that we created, or I should say Zoe created for us this week.
Hello, and welcome to the Great Alaska Birthday Baking Show. On the 1st, Lynn Prosick. On the 3rd, Zoe Bigelow. On the 4th, Erica Pendergrass. Also on the 4th, Melly Cascajares Larson. On the 8th, Rosemary Neal. On the 11th, Betty McLaughlin. Also on the 11th, Marion Brown. On the 13th, Kaleem Nurdeen. On the 17th, Angela Pellegrino. On the 20th, Ann Lazenby. On the 23rd, Sonia King. And also on the 23rd, Stevie Lanier. Thanks for joining us on the Great Alaska Birthday Baking Show. We hope you all have delicious birthdays. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lynn, Zoe, Erica, Melly, Rosemary, Betty, Marion, Kaleem, Angela, Ann, Sonia, Stevie. Happy birthday to you.
You know, how can anyone follow that? I mean, I'm live, that's a video, and I don't know how to follow that. Zoe is just amazing. I have to tell you that I think I sent that email to her probably about 11 p.m. at night and said, oh, by the way, I need this, and that's what she came up with. So I have a feeling that I'm going to get to hang up my ability to make commercials and turn it over to Zoe soon. So, but our last announcement, we all know, love, and miss our Camille Conte, but we can have our fill of her, I guess that's the wrong way, but we can join her, and she's going to be, I know the reps. Okay, so as she's going to be doing the Change online class. Now the slide is up so you can read the details, but here is what the takeaway is that you have to go online, and you have to pick either June 21st or June 23rd as the start date. So this class needs to be activated by you guys. So please, please, please tune into that if you're craving a little bit more spirituality in your week. This is what can help bring it to you. So last but not least, I don't want to walk away from this without talking about prayer. We have been getting a ton of prayer requests, and it's as simple as going onto the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living website and pushing the button that says prayer request. So we have not gone anywhere. We still have you. We still surround you. Whatever you need, just let us know, because we're here. So, and with that, I'm so excited that Karen is singing today. So I'm going to send it back over to her and Aaron for special music.
You are held
Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. We're supposed to have this all figured out so we don't have these awkward transitions, and I'm so busy sitting back there listening I didn't get up when I was supposed to. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for inviting us into your homes on this beautiful Alaskan day. Thank you ever so much. We are honored to be a part of your Sunday. This is the first week of a two-part series. This week I'm going to talk about breathing and your breath, and next week we'll talk about mindfulness. So I'm going to start today with a little bit of an exercise. So if you join me, I imagine most of you are sitting in front of a monitor somewhere, or at least you've got your phone and you're listening to it. So just join me for a moment. Relax at your feet, firmly on the floor. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, or lower them. And take a big breath. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale, exhale. On the next inhale, raise your arms above your head. As you exhale, bring them down. Inhale, raise your arms. Exhale, bring them down. One more time. Inhale. Now this time, as you inhale and raise your arms at the top, exhale by leaning over to the right. Stretch like you just woke up in the morning. Stretch. Exhale back up to the top. Inhale, exhale, stretch over to the right. Exhale to the top. Inhale, exhale, bring your arms down. Now just roll your head easily. Inhale and exhale. One more time, go the other way. Inhale, exhale. Finally, a shoulder roll. Inhale, roll your shoulders backwards. Now inhale, roll your shoulders forward. Exhale. Finally, return. One more inhale. And exhale. How do you feel in this moment? Do you feel differently than when we started? Check into yourself and see how you feel. Well, thank you for joining me in that little exercise. I'm going to talk about, first of all, intentional breathing. What does intentional breathing do for you? And this is going to sound like the sacred reading. I think we're looking at the one great mind. The big benefit, and I hope that one of the things that you noticed after you finished that little exercise is that you're more relaxed. On my test group, poor Mrs. Fleming has to listen to all these sermons about 4 times. No wonder she hates listening to them. She's heard them all so many times. But in my little test group, she reported being more relaxed. And I think that's one of the benefits that we have from intentional breathing is we're more relaxed. But we definitely oxygenate the blood. And when we do that, we provide more oxygen to the muscles, which gives us strength. We provide more oxygen to the brain, which enhances mental acuity. It even enhances intelligence to a certain extent. Deep breathing like that can reduce stress. It helps us to sleep better. It helps us to harmonize our relationships. And as I pointed out in the sacred reading, I remember when I was little, And I remember the phrase being taught, if you're ever angry, just take a deep breath and count to 10 before you do or say anything. What great advice that is, because it is in that breath that we return to a state of calmness. Breath is amazing. So many of our bodily functions are not voluntary. They are strictly automatic. We thankfully don't have to think to tell our heart to beat. Okay, heart, it's time to beat. Oh, beat again. Our heart just beats by itself. Our digestive system just works. We don't have to say, okay, stomach, get to work on that food. It just does it. Now, breath is the same thing. We just breathe. We don't have to think about it. But we do have the ability to change our breath. We have the ability to influence that breath. And that makes a difference from so many other bodily functions. And it is in that choice of how we breathe that we can have a touch point with the divine. And there are many different breathing techniques. One that comes to mind, vocal. Our singers are trained in how to breathe. I remember when Ann had our kids, we went to the classes before they were born, and Ann was taught how to breathe the right breathing for childbirth. And it's used in weightlifters and all types of sporting events. People are taught how to breathe. There's something powerful about the intentional use of our breaths. And one of the biggest ones that I have ever encountered is, of course, in meditation. It's in meditation where we can calm the mind, where we can calm ourselves, and we can focus on the breath. And that brings us to a very, very special place. But breathing can also be a sign of imbalance. If we can pay attention to our breath, we can discover when we are at a place of imbalance within our lives. I'm reminded of a story that I heard of about a man that had an important presentation to make. It was vitally important for his company, and all of the responsibility for this presentation was on him. He had to travel to another office and put this on, and he was well rehearsed. He had his slide deck ready to go. Everything was a go, and he even dialed in an extra half hour in case there were any contingencies, things that he'd have to make a change in plans. And he prepared and got ready for this meeting. And he even had time to be able so that he could get there in advance and test the sound system. And he could make sure that the projector was right. He could get his slides projected properly. And he got on the freeway and he was going, and boy, things were really great. He came around a corner in the freeway and there was the parking lot. There must have been some type of an accident or a wreck way on up ahead, and there, as far as he could see, arching in front of him, were parked cars. Nobody was moving at all. And traffic quickly stacked up behind him. He was in one of the center lanes. He couldn't move to the left. He couldn't move to the right. He couldn't go ahead or back. He was stuck. People were even getting out of their cars and talking to one another. And he felt his anxiety increasing. He knew the importance of this meeting. And he was able to sit there in that moment, and he recognized that through the stress of the situation, he was breathing much more rapidly and much more shallow because he was out of imbalance. So our breath can be a signal to us that we are out of imbalance. Suggest that we could make intentional breathing one of our spiritual practices. Maybe we should take time each and every day to just breathe, intentional breathing. I'm reminded of the story of a minister, it was probably a Science of Mind minister somewhere, who had passed away and had gone up to the pearly gates. He arrived at the pearly gates and St. Peter, and he was excited because there was only one guy in front of him in line, and the man in front of him had on a loud t-shirt, and greasy jeans, and worn out tennis shoes, and a ball cap on backwards, and maybe hadn't bathed in a while. And St. Peter says, "Yes, sir, can I help you?" And the man said, "Well, yeah, I'm Larry Cohen. I'm a cab driver in New York City." And the St. Peter says, oh, yes, sir, let me check. And he goes through, oh, yes, sir, I see it right here, Mr. Cohen. Here you go. And he hands his cab driver a golden staff. And then he hands him a silk robe. And the minister's thinking, wow, this is having pretty good stuff up here. Then he steps up and St. Peter says, may I help you? And he said, yes, my name is Larry Williams. I'm the chief pastor at St. Mary's Cathedral. Oh, let me check just a moment. And he looks down. Oh, yes, sir, I feel you right here. And he reaches down and he hands him a wooden staff and a cotton robe. And the preacher's thinking, well, this doesn't seem quite right. So he questions St. Peter. He says, how's come the guy in front of me got a silk robe and golden staff? And St. Peter says, oh, you'll have to understand that everything up here is meritocracy. Everything is on outcome based. He said, so when you got up and preached, everybody slept. But when that cab driver had him in his cab, let me tell you, they prayed. Now, you may wonder what this has to do with my story today, but it has everything to do with my story today, because what I'm talking about today, whether you laughed, maybe one or two of you might have laughed a little bit, it changed your breathing. And for the rest of you that just groaned, it changed your breathing as well. So laughter can help us. Breath is life. We go back to the Abrahamic tradition, we go back to the book of Genesis, and where God breathed life into Adam. That it was the activity of the divine giving life to humans, breathing life into us. So if this divine presence gives life, and we can recognize that this divine presence, God, is life, then breath becomes our connection point with the divine. That is where we connect and touch the divine. Therefore, if that is true of me, it must be true of every living thing. We are all touch points with God. We are all one. Each and every one of us are one. One with God and one with one another. Eckhart Tolle once wrote, with awareness, there comes choice. And this is the awareness of our oneness. With awareness comes choice. And so you are able to say, I allow this moment to be as it is. And then suddenly, where before there was irritation, now there is a sense of aliveness and peace. I allow this moment to be as it is. And then suddenly, where before there was irritation, now there is a sense of aliveness and peace. And out of that comes right action. Out of that is what creates right action. So how do we use this powerful tool that we have? What do we do? How do we do it? It needs to be the first thing that we do. When we find ourselves in that period of imbalance, that is the first thing that we turn to. And when we can do that, and we can sense our helplessness and our frustration at being caught in the traffic jam with this important meeting in front of us, we can step out of that. And we can go to that place where we recognize our oneness with the other people in the meeting, our oneness with the divine. And then we can calmly pick up our cell phone, we can call and just inform the group that we're in the I-70 parking lot and not moving an inch. And if they could be so kind as to go ahead and check out the video, check out the sound, make everything's ready, and that you'll be there as soon as the divine opens up the path. Then we can have a different attitude toward life itself. When we bring our attention to our breath, we bring our attention to the here and the now. It keeps our mind from wandering into the past and regret and possibly shame. It keeps our mind from wandering into the future and worry and what might happen in the future. And it instead keeps us focused on the here and the now. I think that it's worthy to note, and we're talking about, our youth program and what we're going to do to come up with a virtual youth program. Part of our youth program, every single Sunday, our kids are taught mindful breathing. We are at an important time in the history of our country, in the history of the world, and in our own personal history. There are all kinds of appearances out there, appearances of separation, appearances of disease, appearances, all kinds of things, and these are all very real. These are absolutely real, but they are all in the world of effects. They are all in that world that is the outpicturing. And what's key for us is how we are going to react to those and what we are going to do. Part of a lot of what's going on today is in reaction to the killing of George Floyd, and how it was shown to virtually the entire world, and how people in the United States of America and all over the world are reacting to it. And I find it of interest that there's really no one big movement behind everything that's going on. It's just people going out and doing what they feel they need to do, in spite of the fact that it's increased risk from the already horrific coronavirus that's spreading throughout the world. These people are so moved that they need to get out and demonstrate and do for equality, against police brutality, and all of the other things. And one of the themes that is through it, it's not necessarily a group that's behind it or anything, but it's a theme that behind it is Black Lives Matter. And I heard a gentleman, and I know that he is a kind man and a good man. And I know that he meant well, but he said something that I disagree with. And what he said is that, well, yes, Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And that's not true. I don't believe that to be true at all. Because all lives don't matter until Black lives matter. And I think that part of our disconnect in this comes from this thing that we call white privilege. I had a lot more prepared to talk about today in terms of white privilege. And the more I thought about it, I really feel in my heart I'm not the right person to talk about that. But I will share with you my feelings and what white privilege means to me. White privilege does not mean that you had an easy life. It does not mean that you were born with a silver spoon. This does not mean that you were able to go to the best colleges. This does not mean that you had advantages in life. But what white privilege is it's when your skin color does not make your life more challenging. White privilege is when the color of your skin does not make life more challenging. And when we can recognize that we do have advantages, not for any other reason than the color of our skin, then we can begin to come to that place where we can recognize that oneness. And the way we do that is through our breath. When we can sit in the silence, or however you choose to meditate, or how you do it, but come to that place in breath where we can stay in the here and the now, and not the future or the past, but we can be in the now and recognize our oneness. Our oneness with that infinite creative force of the universe, our infinite connection to all of life, and recognize and embrace that oneness. And from that platform, then we can go through and take right action. I'm going to leave you today with another quote from Ernest Holmes. This was from the Essential Ernest Holmes. It was edited by Jesse Jennings. It's a great book if you haven't read it. You and I should form the habit of taking definite time each day to contemplate and affirm peace with justice. For there is no peace possible without justice. I repeat, there is no peace possible without justice. But faith without works is dead. We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing the best that we have to the common purpose. Faith without works is dead. We should not only pray, but we should each act, each contributing the best that they have to the common purpose. Each willing to make any sacrifice necessary. For there can be no individual self-preservation without the preservation of all. All lives matter. All lives can't matter until brown lives matter, until indigenous peoples' lives matter. All lives can't matter until black lives matter. And so it is with this awareness of our connection to our higher power, however you choose to look at it, awareness of our oneness with that infinite presence, our awareness of our oneness with each and every living being on this planet, on every planet, is with that awareness that I invite my colleagues and the practitioner, 2 students, to join me in holding our congregation, our city, our state, our nation, and our world in love and light. And so we can just simply recognize that there is indeed a power in the universe. One power, one presence, one life. And that life is the life of God, and that life is my life, here and now. It is the life of each and every one of us. That life is perfect. And in spite of the world of effects, where people make choices, where people do things that are not in alignment with highest good, we can simply know that behind all that there is a spiritual truth. And that spiritual truth is that God is love. And that each and every one of us, as little godlings, are little godlings of love. Each and every one of us are manifestations of that infinite presence. And as we come together as one human family, we can embrace each other, sometimes virtually, to avoid the virus. But it makes no difference because that connection is there. It is here. It can never be broken. For we are one. We are one with one another, and we are one with God. We are greater than any appearance. We are greater than any challenge that faces us. So we just give thanks. We give thanks for our awareness of that infinite presence in our lives and in the life of every living being. We give thanks for this beautiful day. We give thanks for each other. And now we can just step back and we can take the appropriate action, whatever it may be. We give thanks, we let it go, we let it be, and so it is. Amen.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God.
Oh, is it me?
Yes.
Oh, it's now is the time in the service where we are afforded the opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. For those of you... I don't think that was supposed to be that way. For those of you who are in the safety of your living room, don't have baskets thrown at you, there is a link, I hope, there is a link to the Tithely account, and you can just tap on that and you can support us financially. Earlier this week, I think it was this week, maybe it was the week before, I don't know, but I was opening the mail and there was a check in there. It was for $120, and that's great. This person giving it, $120, and a couple letters later, I opened up. There was another check for $120, and I thought, well, that's just awesome. Oh, what a coincidence! And then finally, when I got the third one for $120, I thought, oh, what's going on here? And then it dawned on me, oh, they're tithing on the stimulus check. And I totally forgot about it. So, being a good minister, I went home and reminded Mrs. Fleming that perhaps, we could tithe from on our stimulus check, and she informed me she already had. And it was up to me to tithe on my own stimulus check, so I did that. But just an invitation and a reminder to you that you can do that. And then we've got the different ways to give. We can either do it through the Tithely link, or we can do it through our webpage. Either one is good. Okay, so with that, we can do our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. My affirmation is I make healthy choices and respect for myself.
Give it up for Karen.
Yes.
So in closing today, all lives will matter when Black lives matter. All lives will matter when your life matters. Feet firmly on the ground. Breathe with intention, pray, and then act, because awareness equals choice. One human family. Please help me anchor this by saying, and so it is.
Okay, here we go. Stand up. Get ready. Get some energy flowing, right? I know. I missed it. Sorry. I was talking to get people standing up.
Spirit loves to dance. 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 Good job, Rep Don.
Our affirmation today, my breath is the breath of God.
My breath is the breath of God.
I am one with all life.
I am one with all life.
And so it is.
And so it is. Here we go again.
Woohoo!
I shine, beat dance, heart sing,